gonna do another Will It Run video. This is on the 1971 Chevelle that everybody was asking about. Came from the same yard in Philly as the Fury and the Impala wagons. And this was probably the cleanest car there. It still seems like it's been sitting maybe at least 10 or 15 years, but it's all complete. It's got an auto tragedy in it, unfortunately. Quite a bit of mold and stuff, but not a bad looking car. Listen to that door too, the way it shuts. Frame's not rusted out. I don't believe it's a true SS. It's got the labels on there, but it's got a V8. So let's get her home, find out what's in there, and find out if she's got any life left. That is, in my opinion, the sharpest looking Chevelle front end there ever was. Let's do a quick walk around tour on this and then we'll tear in and see what's going on. This has got a steel hood with a fiberglass cowl mated to it. It's in the 20s today, so body looks pretty straight and tight as I showed you last night. The door opens and closes real good. We'll go into the interior soon. Definitely, you know, it had a restoration at some point. Good amount of body filler around, but overall pretty tight looking for what it is. And I'm no muscle car guy, as you might be able to tell from other videos. Chrome's in pretty nice shape on the back. Oh man, I love the rear end. So this thing's definitely jacked up in the rear a bunch. It'll buff out, no problem. I'm surprised the seats are as clean as they are, though. Nice and clean. Glove box, no radio. The HVAC works, moves. Now look at this. So the people I got this off, they drilled through this to be able to move it. And took this all apart and jacked up the whole steering column, so that's a bummer, but you know, would have been much better to get a locksmith and pick that or just drill it straight out, but you know, we'll take care of that. Let's see if the brakes are locked up. Yep, master's locked up for sure. It's got an interesting style shifter in it, a B&M, and the skull on it. I can't say I've ever even used a shifter like this. I've never driven a Chevelle. It's too bad it doesn't have a 4-speed though, huh? We'll have to swap one in. Yeah, otherwise, pretty clean back here. Got the rear ashtrays. Maybe some keys in there, right? Nope. The rear windows go down. Oh, look at that. I like their fold kind of back. It needs a little lube, but that works. How about the bottoms of these doors? Wow, look at that. That is in nice shape. Huh. My 86 Mustang was all rotted out on the bottom there. Missing a mirror, which I think I saw in the one picture. It was actually there. There's a lug nut. Got disc brakes in the front. The odometer shows 73K, and all these gauges, pretty good shape. The dash is nice too. I think this is my favorite part of the interior. And would you look at that? This has what looks to be like an antenna built into the windshield. Doesn't seem like that would be a factory option in the 70s, but let me know if you guys know. This Malibu right here. I did look up the VIN too, so this is Chevelle Malibu hardtop original 8-cylinder car. Of course, the VINs on these don't tell you if it was a true SS or not. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but as I'm editing the Chevelle footage, I wanted to make a quick announcement. The first ever No Nonsense Know How t-shirt prototype. I got one over here, and this is to honor the 1965 Fury wagon and garage helper squirrel Leo. So these will be available for purchase at teespring.com. I'll put the link down below for you. And for the first 7 days of this video, I've priced them. This is exactly what my cost is, $16.05 USD. So I'm making $0 on these and 1710 euros. So yeah, just thought it'd be a fun thing to try out and do. And this QR code on here, that actually goes right to the video too. So anyway, if you're interested, the link's down below, and I greatly appreciate the support, guys. And now for the exciting part, what's under the hood. It took me a minute to find it, but I assume this is the hood pop. Okay. Oh, come on. Just gotta pull out again. Yeah, there we go. Woo! Alrighty, let's see. Well, I'm gonna tell you, that looks like a big block. It's, oh yeah, look at those valve covers. I mean, you can't really mistake that in a passenger car. So we're missing the fender wells. Oh, let's see. We got factory AC, no AC compressor. Oh, it's got that fuel filter everybody hates in the Fury video. There must have been 100 comments how I think they said these cause more car fires than ex-wives or something like that. But this is actually on the pushing side. So this is dangerous because if this rattles loose, I guess they loosen up over time and trickle. You'll get fuel pressure. Definitely an engine fire. But on the Fury, it's on the suction side. So if this thing leaks or breaks, it's only going to trickle a little bit of fuel. But we'll get rid of it anyway. Red, about a couple inches down in there, green coolant. Power steering is, ooh, plenty on the stick there. How about the old tube for the engine oil? Yep, we got oil right up to the full level. I'm gonna just tell you right off the rip, this has got to be a runner. I mean, you guys seen the Fury and the Impala. It's got a dual master on it. Let's see what's going on under here. It's got a Holly 4-barrel and not seized up. The secondary is seized up though. Oh, there it goes. Doesn't want to return though. Get some lube on that. Nexel HEI super coil on there. It's high energy ignition. That's what that stands for. Looks all intact, so let's get this thing rotate. Well, you know what? I'm sure the motor's not seized, but I guess let's give it a little tug-a-roo. Oh, all right, well, that just broke loose on the fan belt. Let me get something done on the crank. Always a better idea to pull the plugs, but we'll just shoot some fogging oil down the carburetor for now before we try and hand rotate it. Shoot plenty down there. Hit the linkage here too. The crank has got a 19mm hex on it. A moment of truth here. Nope, she's tight, locked up, not budging. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and pull these out. And oh, look at that boot ripped. Spray some lube in there. And I just noticed too, this shroud has been shaped and cut and clearanced, so I'm sure it's definitely not the original engine at all in this. But yeah, if you guys know anything, seeing in this video that you guys have other info for me, definitely feel free. Now let's lube those cylinders up. It's all frozen. Whoever put these in never even tightened them. The crush washer's never even been crushed down. They're definitely several years old. They're just basically hand tight. You can see this got a set of long tube headers on it with a identification plate on it, but I can't make out what's on there. And it's got a Fram. Best oil filter ever, right? And whoever last put this together, a little hacked up because they had this kind of just wedged in between the air box or HVAC and the long tube header. And I mean, look at that, melted right through the boot. I'm surprised it didn't catch on fire because, you know, cast iron's one thing, but you do that up against this thin sheet metal. That's basically putting up against fire, right? This last one's tough to get at. Don't ask me why I didn't take them all out through the fender well, but she's a little tucked up in there. Let's start by hitting each of the cylinders with some Croil. We'll let that soak in. It's important not to force an engine over if it's stuck like that, because it might just be a little bit of surface rust in there, and if the rust is on the wall and you force it up, then one of the piston ring could catch that and break or cause more damage. So we'll start with that. I suppose it would have been a good idea to just run a bore scope in this first and see if there is any rust or how bad it is, but I actually left my borescope stays at work, so I didn't feel like running to go get that. Yeah, look at the water pump on there. I don't see how this engine is locked up. It doesn't even make sense to me. And while that's soaking in, I'm gonna try to find the numbers on this block. Should be on the front of the block, passenger side, and find out whether this is a, oh, actually I can see them on there pretty good. Whether what, 427, 396, or 454. As for the block casting numbers, that should be back here somewhere. And there it is. Let's see if I can get readable. Let's go look that up. I went to quite a few websites looking these numbers up, and here's what I came up with. For the block code, T is for made in Tonawanda, New York. 07 is July and the 11th day. Now, ED stands for, it could be 66 to 68 Chevelle 396. And then the block casting number coincides with that, 68 to 69 396. And so over here, the engine VIN 1 is GM 868 and Baltimore. Not numbers matching engine. And then, of course, the VIN on the car is Chevy, Malibu, 8-cylinder, 2-door, hardtop coupe, 3.7. And plant, I had a 1 there. I got to go read that again because there's no plant for 1. So I'll have to check that out. Let's take a look under this thing. All right. Pretty darn solid. Got some holes. Let's see some of the carpet insulation on that side, not on the passenger side though. Look at the frame. Frame's actually really nice on this. I would expect it to be a lot worse. B&M pan on there. Anybody know what trans this is offhand? I'm not gonna bother looking into it because I plan to put a manual on this if it runs anyway. Clean that flywheel off before rotating it. And oh, is that chipped? No, it's not chipped. So look at that. It's got a, looks like a newer starter. And actually, the starter gear is spun out on it. You see that? So that could be the whole reason it wasn't turning over. I don't know if you could see, but the starter gear is meshed. There's some weeds all growing up in there. Look at that. See if we can kick that back. Oh, there we go. Engine's moving. Yeah, maybe it was, man, this starter, it's got a bolt hanging out of it too. Look at that. I wonder it's flexing so much. Well, no wonder it got bound up like that. So we'll go rotate the engine by hand now. But yeah, obviously have to revisit that starter. Now that we know the engine rotates, I would normally change out the oil, but since the dipstick's right up to level, it's not overfilled or anything, I know that there's no water in there. And then we'll just finish up underneath the inspection. Quick inspection here. A little bit of gear oil coming out. I'll have to make sure to check that. Factory style mufflers kind of sucks. I was hoping to have some Flowmasters or something loud. We'll see though. And yeah, this thing's definitely got some kind of lift kit back here. I guess just taller springs. And then these things, but I can't say I've ever seen those or really know what they're for. I guess for traction bars or heck, for doing wheelies. I don't know, not sure. You guys will know. Dry rotted tires, no big deal. Some more rust holes in the floor. Not bad at all though. Frame is very nice. Looking down the pinch welds, see a bunch of like tap screws. Definitely not factory. I'm sure these rockers have been done. You see hole right in there. Looks like a GM 12 bolt. Newer fuel pump up there, Carter, and fuel tank's not rusted out. Some more rust back here, but not bad. This looks like a nice copper radiator in here, great shape. I'll have to make sure to tie that back. I'll crank her with this bigger bar and let's listen. Sounds pretty good. I definitely heard what sounded like a little bit of rust, but I couldn't say for sure. Now, it is a good idea to go a full 360 and make sure there's no binding or anything. One guy had commented on the previous video that he said, oh, I always rotate it and listen, because I guess one of the lifters was seized in the bore, and then he started it up and it bent a push rod and caused a bunch of problems. So yeah, it's a good idea to rotate her by hand, but yeah, I'd say she wants to start. Just got to address the starter issue first. And now that I'm looking at it closer, somebody was definitely in here recently. I mean, look how shiny all that is too. And there's a nut missing on the battery cable. Ah, man. Would you look at that? Somebody ran a bolt in here, looks like crooked probably, and it snapped the casting on the block for one of the starter motor bolts. Luckily though, there's still some meat there, so maybe I can tap that and, you know, worst case, get a nut on the top, or no, you can't, so I'll taper it up there. We'll get it on there. I'll start by trying to tap the rest of this hole. I see up in the block there's some more room to maybe run a few more threads. Looks like 3/8 by 16. Yes, 3/8 by 16. These tap holders are great, so especially in this case for extending how long you have to go up. Just find the right size. Get a little bit of cutting lube on there. I don't like that feeling. Oh, I don't like what just happened there. Oh my gosh. How did I just break the tap off in there? I mean, wow. How the heck did I just do that? It's, I guess because the hole is on an angle, I literally put like no tension on it at all. It just snapped. Unless that thing had a stress fracture in it. Oh, that's not good. Broken off tap in a hole. When I say I didn't have any tension on that, I'm not making it up, so I'm not too worried about getting that out of there. But you know what happened, I bet? Looking up in that hole, the hole ain't straight. So when I put a straight tap in there and the hole's like this, it probably flexed my tap just a little bit. And that super high carbon steel does not have flex in it. I was thinking, let's take a socket out of my junk drawer and then cut little slots in it and put it up there, and then I can grab it. But now I'm thinking, what if I stick this back in there and I put a steel wire through each slot? Thinking something like this baling wire might work. Well, that didn't exactly work because I wasn't able to put the strands past the tap, but now I stuck them all through, twisted it, and check it out, I got the tap moving a little bit. So I think that should come out of there. Oh, there goes one broke. Right, well, at least we know we got the tap moving. And after another 5 minutes of picking at it, we're just, oh, there it is. Not too bad. That could have been worse. If you ever have a tap break and it was under tension, then you're really in trouble. But that one, luckily, it was just a bent hole. First time that's happened, actually. Well, I mean, I've broke taps before, but that was because I was being reckless. Time for plan B. Now, the bolt that doesn't have any problems, that looks good. This one, all right, so that casting in the block, that white line, I put that on there. That's how much material is actually there available. And so this bolt they had, it was just way too long, and so we'll just go with a shorter bolt and then go with those. It's really grabbing like 4 threads up there, but I should have another one. Yeah, look at that, right? Maybe a touch. And the next size I have up, I'd have to cut. So you know what, I'm just gonna use a spacer on this. On this small spacers drawer. Something like that will probably work. Yeah, that'll do. I also need a nut for the terminal. Look at that. I should probably test this starter while it's out though, even though it doesn't look very old. Solenoid's good. And yeah, good starter. There we go. That is nice and tight and snug. Lesson learned, don't try to tap a crooked hole. Now time to hook a battery up, but I don't see a spot for it. So I'm guessing it's in the trunk, but I don't have a key for that. I'm also excited to see what's in here. And I did recently pick up a bunch of keys. I have a lockpick set. I've never been good at that. I'm terrible, but I got these keys on Amazon for it's like 20 bucks. You get all these, they're actually equipment keys, but I guess I could try jamming a bunch of keys in there and see what. Sometimes you get lucky. Well, I spent like 15 minutes trying that and no dice, so we'll drill her out. I ended up having to drill the entire lock out of there, which is no big deal because I'm only like 10 bucks online for an aftermarket one, but I still can't get it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, that's definitely not been opened in a while. So up on the trunk lid, good amount of rust, but no holes or anything. Down here, we got some holes forming. Oh look at that, here's the original color of this Chevelle. That is beautiful. I'd like to repaint it that color if we do anything. Here's where the battery would go. It's gonna go. Got one charging up right now. Some tools there. You can see the battery acid got on there. Door skins and nothing too much else you can see. I assume this seam is where it was cut out before and replaced, because I'm looking over on the other side and this seam is in a different place. Oh wow, what is this? These are ants, like red ants or something we're living in here. Are they? No, they're not still alive. I mean, it is ice cold out tonight. Almost seems like these were alive not long ago because they have high moisture content. Yeah, they're not dried out. These skins are also from a Chevelle, I guess. Malibu on there. Cool. And before we hook this battery up, I did disconnect the fuel line because whatever's in the tank I don't want pumping into here. In fact, let's go ahead and check that, see what it smells like. The old... Oh, yeah, that's, all right, so I'm gonna go with at least 15 or 20 years minimum based on what that smells like. That smells like varnish. Let's see if this got enough juice yet. Get the heat cranking in here because it's in the low 20s outside. Try to get toasty when I go back in. I'm gonna go with this one's positive, or maybe I'll double check. Yeah, all right, the one with the disconnect is positive. Okay, we are live. And we need to start this thing. A pair of pliers. And we got an interior light. Let's see what happens if we turn the headlights on. Oh, look at that! Hey, come on! Oh yeah! That's what well, one of them's out, but and we've even got one tail light. How about that? When I turn this, I get the generator light comes on, but I'm not getting any clicks. I mean, I'm getting a click in the column, but that's it, nothing. So can we get to that starter wire easy? Yeah, somewhat easy. We can get that. Couldn't really get to those starter wires, so I chased them, and they actually run to this. This is the starter switch somebody put in, and then I went to tug on this wire and it pulled straight out. So if we bump this one to this one, it should go, right? No, why not? Look at that terrible crimp connection somebody did. Pulled right out of there. Look, that one too. You always got to do the pull test. If you do a crimp connection, you have to do a pull test. Time to do some power probing and find out what's what. Power Probe 3. It's kind of like a test light, multimeter, and alligator clips with wires all in one. Mm, 12.3 volts. I should have voltage on one of these wires. Alright, that one I do. So this, that's the one that goes to the starter. It is more loose connections. Oh, okay, so this one was never hooked up on the starter. How'd that happen? Maybe I did that. I don't trust any of the crimps on this car. No, alright, that one passed the pull test. I had to take the starter back out to get that wire on, but we are good. Let's listen. Alright, that's okay. Crank this start. I think the starter alignment is off, but I guess the next thing we'll do is throw the plugs back in and see what it sounds like cranking, and then get some spark going. I could do a compression check, but I'll just do the old by the ear compression check. All right, plugs back in. Let's see what we got. Oh, you heard the starter realign itself, and sounds like we need to charge up the battery. Let's see what our cold cranking amps are on this battery. I did charge it for a little bit. This battery's from my Tundra. It's definitely good. Maybe that's 655. This is an Ansel BST 500. Our state of charge 52%, state of health 29%, 354 cranking amps. And I'm also curious to see what happens if we hook this Gulu 4000 amp jump pack up to it. I did a review video on this a while back. Let's see what the cold cranking amps does. And with that hooked up, wow, 468 cranking amps, 15 volts. Let's crank her now. Excellent crank. Starter sounds like crap, so I gotta look into that tomorrow, but I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. I don't hear any dead cylinders. I was actually cranking really fast too, huh? That Gulu's pretty impressive. But yeah, we'll call it a night for now. And here we are next evening. Let's find out if we got spark. I've got the coil hot wired and a spark plug on here grounded out. So, oh, what was that all about? This is the bad battery connection. Oh yeah, we got good spark. All right. Let's hook all these wires up and get some fuel flow in. Got this hooked up to some auxiliary fuel. It's actually 2-stroke mix. And well, the carburetors did take fuel because this went down quite a bit. But this back one, I gotta get a different size for that. This fitting's leaking down onto the manifold. This is actually an Edelbrock single plane manifold on here. Hopefully snugging that down does the trick. It's already tight. Oh no, I see. Never mind. I thought it was leaking there. It's actually leaking from the pumper on the bottom. Yeah, so the pumper diaphragm's torn. This is a double pumper carburetor, so the primary and secondary side have pumpers on it. I'll put this in park. And just in case I decided to jack up the rear pump and get the wheels off the ground, let's see if this got a posi in it. So it is in park, and no, it doesn't have a posi. I'll stop the fuel flow for now since we got a leak. And got a couple fire extinguishers around just in case, especially with a little bit of fuel sitting on the manifold like that. A little shot of some juice, and here goes nothing. Yeah, you heard those lifters, a little noisy there, or the rockers, lifters, whatever is in there, but that oil came up. Numbers 5 and 6 are not running, but I hear them backfiring a little bit. That one's starting to get a little bit warm. 2-smoker. It's good in case any rings are stuck too. I never really thought to do that on these boards. I've been sitting a long time, but today it seemed like a good idea. Back that off. Alrighty, that's a pretty good first start. Yeah, we're hitting that number 5 now. 727, 715, 300 or something. Only 200, so we ain't still not hitting number 6. Holy smokes, look at the spark coming out of that thing. Good. take this off and bring it in the garage, but the few problems, it's that rear leaking pumper. The choke cable is non-existent and the choke is completely seized up. The front pumper is actually seized up. You see when it goes to push it down, it doesn't do anything and this spring just depresses. So to me, it looks like it might be seized or just misadjusted. And then I don't know if the secondary side's getting enough fuel or what, because I didn't see those jets even trickling when I wide opened it. Just nothing coming out of that side. And I'm halfway tempted, it's Jennifer. I'm halfway tempted to throw this Holley sniper I just got for the Fury. Check this thing out. No more carburetors for me. I can't wait to throw this thing on the Fury. It's gonna be really awesome. Just a bolt-on fuel injection throttle body. Modern TBI, heck yeah. It also comes with fuel hose and all the necessary stuff.
You smell like gasoline.
Yeah, I bet you I do. But that's not how we do Will It Run videos, so we gotta work with what we got. We'll get this carburetor working. But Holley, if you guys see this and you wanna promote your product, you wanna sponsor me, send me another sniper for this thing. I'll bolt it on, show everybody the difference. That'd be cool, right? We'll save the sniper for the Fury for now, though. Looks like leaking over here, too. The gasket came off nice. And everybody's always knocking these single plane intakes, which I'm sure that's with good reason. I don't have too much experience dealing between dual plane and single plane, but I was reading these are much better for the Holley EFI. Let's check on those ants from the other night too. It's a little bit warmer tonight, probably in like, oh, look at that, they are alive. Oh man, I gotta exterminate them. These do not look good. We'll go ahead and change this oil too. Yeah, don't look bad at all. Well, some gas in there. There we go. Jen's over here doing arts and crafts, making some Christmas stuff. What you making over here?
Reindeer.
Reindeer? Can't wait to see the final product. Here's your safety glasses.
Where'd it go?
Behind. You know, it's nice when a carburetor comes apart and the gaskets don't all get torn and stuff, but that's not the case with these Holleys. They seem to just get shredded. Very stuck together. Really not too dirty at all. So see why this one wasn't working. This diaphragm's just so rigid and stiff. You could probably see it better on this camera. And don't mind Santa Claus in the background. I don't know if you guys hear the sirens or not. You see it's shot. Oh, it's full of a bunch of sludge too. That would have blocked the holes anyway. Yep, and this one's just straight torn through. That's why it was leaking. Power valve looks like it's in good shape. So I'll get this all cleaned up, some new gaskets on there, and we'll throw it back on. Since I didn't do a full rebuild on the Fury carb, I do still have those parts up in here. I got some gaskets, and I got at least one pumper in there. Check out these. I want to throw these on my KZ1000 at some point. Picked up a set of Mikuni 36s a while back. Never got around to that, though. One day I'll throw them on there, sometime. This one's used. It's in good shape, but I guess I used it on the other one. Here comes Santa. There he is. Santa Claus coming through. I don't feel like waiting on parts, and I'm already putting fuel injection on the Fury anyway, so I figure, why don't we just take some parts out of this one? Or maybe even just use this carb all together, right? You know, it's funny, both the original carburetor gaskets, great shape, came right off. This brand new one that was on the Fury, I had replaced, just shredded right apart. Junk. You just don't build stuff like they used to. Now looking at the throttle flaps, these are both 172s, and this has got a 172 and a 173. So I could technically probably just throw this one on there, but I guess we do want to keep the double pumper action, right? I want to admit something I just found I did wrong in the previous video, and it was a guy who commented about me overlooking the power valve. I didn't really talk about it, and I didn't even touch it because I was like, it looks like it's in good shape, it's fine, right? But there's a diaphragm in here, and so I just took this Fury carb because I never split the case on this one completely, both of them. And sure enough, he was right, actually, because this diaphragm, if you blow on it, this diaphragm's got a pinhole or something in it. This power valve you shouldn't be able to do that. So that's why even after getting this all together, this carburetor was running pretty darn rich. I figured somebody just throwing big jets in there with the cam that's in that Fury, but no, it was a torn diaphragm in the power valve. So don't overlook that if you're ever taking one of these apart. Definitely put a new one in. For sure. All right, finally ready to slap these back together. I'm not gonna lie, that took me about 2 or 3 hours to clean all the gaskets, go through them. I found quite a few clogged jets, ports, and orifices spraying through everything. So this, I'm surprised it ran as good as it did, but I can bolt this all together now and throw it on. And I wasn't even doing a 10 out of 10 job on this. I mean, I didn't even clean them that thoroughly. I really got to invest in a ultrasonic cleaner. That's gonna be in the future. All together, let's slap her on. Here we go. I hit the primer a couple times. It's working good now. Hit that spark plug wire too. Let's see if we're hitting. Oh wait, right here. Nah, still not hitting number 6, so we'll have to check the compression on that cylinder. Maybe some bad plug if we're lucky. Oh yeah, she's definitely got a cam too. Sounds great. Quite a bit of smoke coming out of that right pipe there. Turns out that used diaphragm I put in there is leaking, so went over to AutoZone. They actually stock Holley carburetor kits, made in USA. Well, this has got one more diaphragm in it that I need. A little trio of reindeer. And we gotta get some brakes. Let's see how this master looks. Some rusty fluid in there. Yep, how about that? I sprayed these down with Croil a little bit ago. Hit them one more time with some juice. Oh, look at that. It was moving. Line just snapped right off. Well, you guys seen that. That's okay, I got a flare tool. Let's see what this other one does. Yeah, that one's just twisting right off. That's all right. I'll just reflare these. Sweet, pedal's not locked up with the master out. Pretty nasty in there. Some sludgy rust, but I think this master has plenty of life left in it. So we'll clean it up tomorrow. So this dual master is locked up, but I think we could probably get it working again. I mean, I could get a brand new one for only like 40, 50 bucks online. 60 bucks at the store, but there she goes. Always make sure to wear safety glasses around snap rings. Can't say that enough times. Otherwise you'll get a snap ring in the eye. There we go. And seals look like they're in pretty good shape. You know, it's pretty obvious with the benefit of a dual service master cylinder like this that's, you know, became mandatory on cars, is in case one of these seals tears or blows out, you're still going to have the other one to work. Or if the rear brake line blows out, you're still going to have front brakes, or vice versa. So very, very important to have a dual service master. Or if you don't, make sure you got a good emergency brake. We got those pistons cleaned up real nice and inspected all the seals. They look to be in good shape. Used just some Scotch-Brite to clean them up, and then I cleaned out this master. This came out pretty good. Still got to hit a little bit more. Just did a preliminary cleaning, and you can see in the bore there's rust, not deep rust lines. So in the previous videos I've used just some Scotch-Brite on a drill to get that, which works great. Or I think I have a better tool that's going to be quicker, the double carbide. No, I'm just kidding. This little guy came to mind. This is like a fine little yeah, that's going to spin up. Oh, it's perfect, because once it spins, these will stick out a little bit. Yeah, get that cleaned up, throw it together, and we'll have some brakes. Oh, these, I still got to get these. So I could just replace these flare ends since I have plenty of them in here. However, you know, there's really no need to. So what you do to get them out, pretty elementary stuff. You just need a punch, if I can find my punch drawer, an appropriately sized punch. And then since this is 9/16, I could grab a 1/2-inch socket, put her on like that, and hammer it out. Or better yet, use something like, you know, a spacer, wrist pin. And that works too. And good as new, just hit that with a brush too. So it'll fit on the new line. Well, the old line that I'm going to reuse, and good to go. A good amount of pitting in there. Definitely usable though.
Through, so.
Good as new. Now we just got to bench bleed it. I should have enough space to reuse these lines. One of them is a 1/4 inch and the other a 3/16 line. You see, these are supposed to be double 45 flares. The one actually had a single 45 on it though. Look at this kit. I actually have a hydraulic kit at work made by Master Cool that's really nice, but this one works too. All right, that's one. And I can't tell you how many times I've done flares like this and forgot to put the end on. Oh, that's the worst. And number 2 done. I've been letting these brake bleeders soak in with some Croil, and the front ones are seized. I got the back ones loosened. You can see we need some brake hose on the front too. They're not fraying though, just the rubber shield, so they're still okay for now. But gotta bleed these out. And hit that with the air hammer a couple more times and heat it. Let's see, there it goes. There she goes. The important part is to not break the nipple. Oh, that's good. Hey, think you can give me a quick brake bleed?
Sure.
These are reindeer. Looking good. And you look good getting in that car. You gonna drive this thing around as your daily or what? Once I get her worked out?
It's a little stinky.
What do you think? You mind the spider webs?
I do.
All right, now I'm ready.
All right, let's do this.
All right, start pumping. Is pedal moving?
Yeah.
I think you're just being a weakling.
No, I'm not.
Shooting at them. I hate these master cylinders that are squirters. Just shot all over here. I was pumping. It's a squirter. She's a squirter. Go ahead, I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, go ahead again, bit me up. See? No, you can't. Ay, stop! Shooting all my brake fluid out. She's a squirter. I guess I'll put a cap on that then, huh? When you depress it, just go slowly. The pedal only goes down like halfway and then turns into a rock, almost like there's an obstruction inside of here. But then I took both these lines off and now the pedal does go all the way down and fluid comes out of these. So we definitely have a hydraulic blockage somewhere. Now, I'm just not getting any fluid past the proportioning valve, so I sprayed that down with some rust penny for now and we'll move on, revisit that. But for now, 0 brakes on this. This master cylinder lid's not the right one either. You can see the pattern difference and it actually doesn't fit on here. If you hook it on the back, and then see it's about off by like maybe 1/4 inch on the front, so I'll have to get another one of those. I guess they were just driving around like with it like that, spilling brake fluid out the back. Let's find out if this fuel pump works. So the one wire going to it is a ground, and the other black thick wire running into the body. And the tank sounds bone dry, so that's good. I'm guessing this could be the fuel pump, because yeah, that's it. Probably that dark wire underneath. I don't hear anything. We are getting power there. The switch works. Let's check back here. Yep. So we're getting power to the pump. Pump's no good though. The old taparoo. Falling apart. It needs a new fuel pump. Let's see if we pull a vacuum on this hose too. See if there's anything in the tank. Oh. This hose is cracked off too. So definitely, yeah, that never would have worked anyway. I mean, hopefully all this stuff I'm finding shows you that you can't just show up to a Chevelle that's been sitting 20 years and expect to drive it home without doing a ton of stuff. Look at that, it's just so dry. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen fuel hose that dry rotted. Like a lot of people commented on my last video, oh, you know, Vice Grip Garage is so much better, which I had never heard of his channel until a few people commented that. And well, they're saying he's so much better because he drives it home. I'm like, that's cool, but I mean, if I don't have to do that, I'd much rather work on it here where I have a bunch of parts and everything I need. But maybe one of these times I'll try that out. It definitely sounds fun to do it that way. If I do the old blow test on it, I can hear there's like a tiny bit of fluid on there, so we'll give it the suckaroo test. And yeah, there is a little bit of fuel coming out of there. So we'll suck that dry. Ooh, well there's your, oh darn, it actually just established prime. So now it's siphoning out. Yeah, so I was wrong. There is a good amount of fuel left in this, and it smells bad. Real bad, but I'm sure you could run it on that, no problem. Definitely still usable. That's great though. That means we know for sure that this tank is not rusted out. I popped out this Carter pump. Seems like a real high quality piece, made in USA. And took this screen off here. It smells terrible in here. Some grit, but I bet you if I you know, hand spin this a few times, get those brushes cleaned off, I bet you this will work again. So even after knocking it around with a hammer and spinning this shaft, the shaft spins completely fine. It still wasn't working, so then I took this, put it on here, and I spun it at a high rate of speed for a while, just like that. And now check this out, got it working. Here's one more look with the vanes back in. What a great design that is. So seeing that, you can see why putting a filter before this is a good idea. Actually, scratch that, this already has a fine mesh screen built into the cover, so you don't really need a pre-filter. That'll capture pretty much everything that's going to hurt the pump vanes. I added some Bel-Ray grease to this rubber too. I cut that back in with the new hose. I do need some isolator bushings. Those fell apart, so I'll just at a later time probably use some fuel hose for that instead. And I did check the pliability on this one. It was fine for now. 6 gallons of gas in there. Moment of truth. There it is. Yeah, it's flowing nice. Good stuff. There you go. Plastic filter. Oh, wow, that thing pushes quite a bit of pressure. Oh, in fact, so much that it's leaking in. Back to the brakes. Somehow I was able to get this proportioning valve out without having to cut all the lines off. Let's take this apart tomorrow and see if it is salvageable. All right, and now some quick educational information on this proportioning valve. So if you want to skip forward, feel free to. Might get a little boring, but this is formerly known as a combination valve. But if you go to like AutoZone, it's going to be under brake proportioning valve. So this has 3 main functions I'm going to show you, and this one's designed to work on a vehicle that has front disc, rear drum. So first function, the rear brake fluid comes in here, and the front brake fluid comes in here. And when you apply your brakes, fluid is sent to the rear first, since it takes more fluid to apply those drum brakes. They actually have to expand out and contact the drum, unlike the front disc brakes. You know, the pads are just sitting right there. They're instantaneous. So that's what the metering valve does. It allows fluid to go to the rear first, and then once there's a little bit of pressure, it distributes that to both. The next function is the safety valve. So if you have a rear brake line blow out and all the pressure goes there all of a sudden, there's a device in here I'm going to show you that will slide and then ground out this terminal. And I did already ohm this out, so this is grounded, and that's why I'm not getting any flow to the front right now, because there must have been a front brake leak, and that's what happened. So the third function of this device is the proportioning valve, and that's for when you slam on the brakes real hard. This slows down the pressure going to the rear. It kind of dampens it, we'll say, and allows more pressure to go to the front, so that way you don't lock up the rear brakes. So hopefully that was I tried to make a fast-paced explanation of all the things that this combination valve does. But these are around 60, 70 bucks, and they did not have one in stock, so let's see what's inside. I'll start by popping the safety switch off, and I apologize if I spoke a little too fast. I just wanted to keep that quick, not make it so boring. So yeah, that's all that looks like. All right, now we'll take this end off. Here we go. And this does not want to come out. All right, one of these actually just popped out of here too, and you can see that was never aligned properly in there. So when maybe that was the whole leak. Oh yeah, lots of sludge up in this hole. So check it out, where the safety switch goes, this is a spring-loaded brass detent that when it's pressed up, it makes continuity to ground. You turn that brake light on, and if you look in there, you can see the brass. And if I push this over, this is how you would recenter that valve. So I'm going to push in on the end, and so it's actually it's stuck. Let's see. There it goes. So that would be recentered there, and if you go to the other side, I don't know if you can see in there, that would be just where it wouldn't allow flow to the rear brakes. Now, my assumption would be that this is the metering valve, and the one on the back is the proportioning valve, but if anybody knows, feel free to comment that. All back together and seems to be functioning properly. The only problem I have is this little mushroom guy that got kind of chewed up somehow in the past. It came out of there, so I got to figure that out. When you go to bleed out the brake lines on a car that has one of these, they do recommend that you remove the safety switch and actually insert a hard plastic stopper, so that way that pressure differential shaft in there can't mistakenly trip. If there's no fluid in the rear lines and there is fluid in the front. Now I'll say I've bled plenty of cars and left it in there and didn't have a problem, but in this case, just to be safe, since I don't want to pull it back out, I'll take a little piece of metal like that, drop it in there, and then put hose clamp, secure that way, no matter what, that won't trip. And when I'm done, I can put this back in. The valve is sloppily back in, and now I just need to address this line that broke. So I'll probably make a little extension off of this instead of running the whole new line. Obviously, this car needs all new brake lines and brake works. We're just doing the bare minimum here to get by. Quick note here, somehow I lost this video clip, but after installing that combination valve, I still wasn't getting any brake fluid flow to the front, a tiny bit to the back. Turned out all 3 of the brake hoses were blocked up solid. So I went ahead and ordered 3 of those. All right, today is the day to get some brakes. I got my 3 new hoses. I'll slap those on, get them bled out. Let's see what the inside of these look like though. Oh wow, that is completely blocked up. Just a little word of caution, you should never use a torch on brake line fittings. I mean, if I do, I put just a tiny bit of heat on there, but if the lines have fluid in them, it could build up pressure and rupture a hose and blow flaming hot brake fluid in your face and potentially a fireball. So I have all the lines cracked open. However, this one was actually, you know, it's blocked like the rest of the hoses were, and this one blew off. I applied a little bit of heat to this, and even though I had the lines opened up and I thought most of the fluid was out, this blew off, and it was pretty loud and ridiculous. So if you're ever heating a hose, it's a good idea to cut the hose first, and then I guess if you were doing it, you could heat this until flaming hot brake fluid comes spewing out, just like that, and then you're just about ready to take it off. Got that off of there. You see, once I applied a little bit of heat, it loosened up this connection, built up some pressure, and popped her right off. And that's because even though I had the bleeders open, this thing was blocked somewhere in here, was restricted, and yeah, built up pressure and blew her off. Jen helped me out bleeding the brakes, and now I can take the hose clamp and this little pin off, put the safety back in, and we are not all gas, no brakes anymore. This baby's got brakes, and the fronts apply and then release too, so the calipers aren't stuck yet. Let's grab these. Fully street legal. Almost ready for a ride. I gotta check the trans fluid, and a little low on that, so I'll top her off. And still getting a slight misfire over here, even though I checked the compression. I just swapped out a couple wires, and I found the firing order on 6 and 8 was crossed. But we'll see. We'll take her out and blow it out. Took about 3.5 quarts to get up to level. Let's see if she's juicing. Yeah, 13 volts at idle. Can't argue with that. I guess we might as well leave this back here, huh? I got her purring pretty good now. Little belt squeak. I'll tighten that later. Brake pedal feels real nice. Nice and firm. Good power brakes. Let's try first time in gear. All right, nice engagement into reverse. Nice forward. All right, Jen's gonna come for the first ride. Here, window goes down. Look at that. Hop on in. Welcome to 1971. Oh, she feels nice. Yeah! Feels nice. This thing handles good. I like it so far. So I don't quite understand the shifter yet, but all the way forward's park. Okay, one back is nothing. Another back, all right, there's reverse. One more, there's neutral. And then one more, this is first gear. So let's see, I think if we just bang them down, those are our gears. Oh yeah. Okay, all right, I like this shifter. This thing's sweet. And then all the way back is drive, I guess. You wanna try it?
No.
All right, we're gonna race somebody, here we go. And first. Yeah, it's got a shift kit for sure. That feels good. Nice hard engagement. Brakes are even working. How about that? Are you all right? That's what the big block's for, man. It's for that. That's what a big block does. This thing's a f***ing monster. It's a truck engine in a car. That's how these came factory back in the day. This has got the 396 big block truck motor, babe. And you can feel it. It's a lot of torque moving a little tiny car. This thing's running awesome. I'm so stoked.
sound good.
She didn't like that too much. That was my own fault. I mean, hammered her on her a little too hard there and it started hopping in the back. Yeah, that's bad. All right, let's see what the damage we did.
Are we walking back?
No. So we blew the rad. Probably cut a hole in it.
How?
Probably because the motor started hopping up and down.
What is this?
I don't know. This is falling out.
This looks horrible.
Yeah, it's really bad.
So what happened?
Oh, this was my fault, actually. Completely my fault. I didn't put the rad support back on and I just tied it and then the fan hit it and shredded the radiator completely. Well, if that wasn't a silly, stupid mistake, I don't know what is, but we can probably make it back home. I just cost myself some money there. That's what you get for rushing things and not checking if you put the rad support back on. Unfortunately, this wire just had a little too much flex in it and somehow that fan, well, not somehow, but the fan grabbed the radiator, shredded it to pieces. So we'll go ahead and order one of those. Not the end of the world because this rad did have quite a bit of corrosion that I could see inside of it. So, you know, we'll have a fresh one on there. No big deal. Oh, and look, remember that cap I said that didn't fit right on the master cylinder? Well, that's MIA. Probably on this street somewhere. Come on, baby. Hopefully it didn't do any other damage. Oh, I didn't turn the fuel pump on. Battery's a little low. Luckily we brought this. The Gulu 4000. There's the fuel pump pipe. Alrighty, get that rad on order, and we're gonna have some more fun with this car. That was a good first run. She ran great. Unfortunately, it was a combination of those rear wheels hopping, whatever's going on with that suspension, and you know, the rad support not being that secure, and well, that combo led to a shredded radiator. But you know, probably that radiator was probably on its last legs anyway. Maybe. Anyway, let's get one of those. Yeah, went back on the scooter, found the master cap. Got a little smashed in, but I had to bend it to make it fit right anyway, so we'll go fix that. Perfect. Now I just need to extend it a little bit. This snaps into place flush now, and this doesn't hold it too secure, so bend that down a little bit, and good as new. I just ordered a new 4-core aluminum radiator with electric fans for this, 300 bucks. But just to show you exactly what happened. Now, this was the original shroud that was on here, and you see the fan was hitting this a bunch on the bottom and the top. Since I didn't put this steel bracket on, you know, I put the wire on here so the fan wouldn't hit this rad wouldn't fall back and hit it. But when the back wheels jumped up and down, and the front end jumped, well, this thing jumped off the bottom and went boom, and the bottom hit. So the top of the rad never hit the fan because it had the wire, but the bottom slid out and hit it. So that'll be a good reason to ditch the Flexi fan and upgrade to electric fans. Now, even with the fuel pressure regulator, I was getting erratic fuel pressure. This thing would sometimes hang around 5 or 6, but then start jumping up to 15. So I was reading these are only rated for a max inlet pressure of 15 PSI. I'm gonna check what this pump's pushing from the back. And on this gauge, that's only pushing about 12 PSI. So this must just be a faulty fuel pressure regulator. or maybe it's because I have it mounted upside down. I'm not sure. And I think now is a good time to start wrapping up part 1 on this 1971 Chevelle. This video is probably going on over an hour unless I cut out a ton of stuff, but I really try to put a little bit of everything that I've done on there without skipping anything, so sometimes it turns out to be pretty lengthy. Sorry about the short test drive, but there will definitely be more on this car. So I got those parts on order. I want to put tires on it, check out the brakes, address the suspension. The front seems to be sitting really low, like maybe this car never had a big block, or that big block just wore out the front springs. We got to find out why it was hopping in the back, clean it up, do the interior, well, clean the interior. And you know, if you guys have any suggestions on this car, feel free to drop those down below. Hugely appreciate that kind of thing. Even more, I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video if you did. And you know, either way, any suggestions or things I did wrong, you know, always welcome the positive criticism down below in the comment section. Negative criticism's fine too if that's all you got. So anyway, drop it a thumbs up if you liked it, and thank you for watching. Again, thank you. So hopefully I see you again, and that is the end of the 1971 Chevy Chevelle. Will it run? Yes, it will. Off topic, but was just driving home and we seen this old ambulance. It's an Oldsmobile. Check this thing out. It's the Oldsmobile 98 old ambulance. This is neat. Reminds me of the Ghostbusters vehicle. That's really cool. The Impala's off to another location for some potential buyers to take a look. A couple pending offers on it. So we'll definitely update in the future what ends up happening with this. Hopefully it'll go to a good home, somebody that's going to restore her and give her the attention that she needs. And then maybe get some video clips of that in the future we'll plug in. She certainly deserves a second life.